All right, as people continue to trickle on, we'll get going. It's 2 minutes after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Welcome and thank you for your interest in the Capital Region Indicators website. My name is Mark Castiglione. I'm the Executive Director of the Capital District Regional Planning Commission. This tool was developed with partners, the Capital District Regional Planning Commission, the Capital Region Chamber, the Community Foundation for the Greater Capital Region, the Capital District Transportation Committee, and the Avail Lab at UAlbany, who built the tool. Thank you in particular to the Capital Region Chamber for arranging these webinars and for hosting the registration. The partners hope that this tool will help cultivate a better understanding of our community's well-being over time by putting useful data at the fingertips of municipalities and nonprofit organizations. We also hope that this tool will help cultivate a consensus around and help to identify our region's key indicators. Finally, we want this tool to be useful in people's day-to-day, from completing paperwork to applying for grant funds, or to and overall to supporting the work that you all do. A bit of housekeeping: the session is being recorded and is being broadcast live on YouTube. For folks who are unable to attend today or want to reference this training in the future, you can search CDRPC on YouTube and find a link to this presentation. If you have any questions during today's presentation, you can put them in the chat box and we can answer those. It's sometimes helpful to ask questions live. So if you'd like to ask a live question, please just either raise your hand or put a note in the chat box and I can unmute you so that you can ask your question directly to the presenters. Just let us know if you want to ask a question and we'll be able to accommodate that. We would also be more than happy to provide a higher level presentation to your organization or board of directors on this tool to help introduce more people to the website and what it can do. This tool is still a work in progress, so your questions are critical to making this tool better and more useful for everyone. A variety of improvements have been made since this tool was first launched back in early 2020, which seems both like a lifetime ago and 2 minutes ago. We'll highlight some of those things, improvements today, and we'll also foreshadow some improvements that are in the queue for this upcoming year. When you leave here today, we hope that you'll be able to have a good understanding about the data this tool includes and how to get the information you're looking for. We also hope that you'll leave inspired with ideas about ways to use this tool in your daily work. And finally, we hope you will continue to provide us your ideas about how to make this tool better and more useful for the work that you all do. We'll start with a detailed overview of the website and its features, review the profile pages, indicators, data visualizations, and discuss some improvements that have been made to the tool along the way. We'll show you how to compare data over time, how to download tables, images of visualizations, embed code, and a variety of other features that the website offers. We'll explore the mapping interface and explore the profiles down to the block group level. We may also reference some additional online data tools and resources that complement the Indicators website. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Eric Kranz. Eric is the premier data science, Eric works for the Albany Visualization and Informatics Lab, or Avail. And they built and were responsible for the construction and maintenance of capitalregionindicators.org. And they continue to be the lead technical consultant for the project. Eric is the program manager for the Avail Lab, and he manages business development, including program management, reporting, client interaction, grant writing, graphic design, and marketing. Mr. Kranz has experience in delivering products on schedule and meeting important milestones, and I can attest to that with this project too. So for all your data needs, Avail is there. So without any further ado, I'll turn it over to Eric. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. And thank you all for your interest in the Community Indicators tool. And without any further ado, I'm sure folks have had an opportunity to go onto the site If not, the link is it's available to you right now. It's publicly available at capitalregionindicators.org. And when you land on the site, we have provided you with nice splash images, but mostly what this page is for is to give you a little bit of context. We are interested in your feedback. We have an email here. Can folks see my screen? Mark, can you confirm that my screen is being shared?
We can see your screen, we can see you, and we can hear you.
Great, wonderful. And so, all right, so we have a feedback, a link to emailing indicators at CDRPC, which will folks will handle your questions, comments, and feedback there. You can also inquire about how assistance in using the tool. I know that the CDRPC is available and interested in making this tool more a part of folks' workflow, whether that's for grant writing or for telling your story as an organization or agency. So just one note here about the device. You'll watch this presentation on a web browser on a laptop. My screen is set to like a full width. Some people will use their Microsoft that'll have it'll zoom in a little bit, like to 150% or something like that, so that the text is bigger. That can have some effect. I think it's minimal, but as you move down to smaller and smaller devices, there is some effect to the graphs don't necessarily fit, especially on smartphones. We think we have this set up so that it works like on a tablet, but if there's any feedback from folks that are trying it on different kinds of tablets, et cetera, please send us information about that. We can identify those issues. The thing to note here is that these visualizations, like graphs, are very hard to put into this type of format where the it's a small screen format. So if you are going to use your tablet or your smartphone, use it on its side. That'll probably give you the best viewing. But the way that we definitely recommend doing it is through your computer, through a web browser such as Chrome, Edge, which is the new Microsoft one. They're no longer supporting Explorer, and this website won't work on Explorer, or on Firefox. So again, that's your suggested way of getting in here. So so the first thing to note here is across the top of the screen you have a navigation panel. This navigation panel starts with a couple of different items. As you see, as I scroll over, we get another navigation panel that drops down below, right? But the initial navigation, if I click on Capital Region, Greater Capital Region, or Maps, it'll bring me to 3 different pages. And when we navigate to any of these pages, if you click on About, it'll bring you back to this landing page. And so we're going to start here with these Capital Region and Greater Capital Region pages. They are, for all intents and purposes, the same report, but they have a little bit different. They have a different set of counties within. So the Capital Region includes the counties of Albany, Rensselaer, Saratoga, and Schenectady counties. And you'll see here that there are 4 bars in the different bar graphs. They're color coded. So if it's Saratoga, Saratoga's pink throughout. You'll notice Saratoga's pink here. As you move through these sites, these visualizations, you'll notice that color indicator carries through. The Greater Capital Region page, again, is the same report, but it includes 4 more counties. It includes Greene, Columbia, Washington, and Warren. And same thing goes here. So Columbia County will be yellow in each of the visualizations going through, just as it is up here. So that it carries through. The next thing you'll notice is on the left here, we have these hero stats, is what we call them. They're sort of large boxes with stats that are cumulative and like really high end, like high level indicators. So we see here, the total population, the median household income, and we can dig through here. With those typically it's set up where there's an indicator on the left, and then there's a visualization on the right. That's mostly how the whole site is set up. I believe there might be a couple of different places where that's not how it is, but it's fairly uniform that way. There's also a little information about what the indicator is. You'll see up here as well. Another thing to note here is once we dropped onto this page, you'll see across here there's a header here that has a couple of different buckets. So we spent a great deal of time working with everybody, in a number of people in the Capital Region, number of stakeholders, to try to zero in on indicators and how best to group them. We also looked into a number of different indicator projects across the country, and what we settled on was an overview section, which is your highest level indicators, and then we have an economy section, social welfare section, health, education, housing, and transportation. And what we've done is another thing to note is if you're seeing the visualizations are loading and it's taking a while to load, we recommend that you scroll a little bit down and up on the site. For some reason, whatever it is, we haven't figured out the bug yet, but whatever's going on with that loading mechanism, if you scroll up and down, it can trigger it to finally load. So that's just something to note here as we continue to work through the software bugs. But again, when you click on any of the bucket lists, the list of buckets up across here, it'll bring you right to that section. So this is now the health section. And as we go through that, you'll notice that sometimes it's very useful to just dive into a section that's of importance to you. So the next thing I want to point out too is we can do you'll notice there's a 3.88% growth listed here for percent health coverage. What that is showing us here is that we have a comparison between 2013 and 2018. And we can set that to a different year if we'd like. If we'd like to compare 2 years, very close to each other, or if we'd like to, let's say we want to compare to 2010. We now have, found a bug, infinity growth. Here, let's try 2011. Oh, you know why? Because that variable changed between then. It's a bug to note on our part. But as you can see here, we have percent of households receiving food stamps is, for instance, here we see a difference in that between 2010 versus, let's say, 2016. So there's actually a decline since 2016. So there's a comparison piece there. Now, the next thing is, so as I mentioned, the reports are the same on the Capital Region page and the Greater Capital Region page. It's going to compare counties to counties, right? So that's the first of the reports. The second of the reports is a specific county, municipality, census tract, or block group. And so if we click on one of these, let's say we want to look at Albany County, this report is different than the last report. There's a number of things that can be visualized at the county level that don't compare as well across from county to county. And so this is a much more detailed report. This report, as I just mentioned, will work for the county level. It will work for the municipal level. And I'll show you in a few minutes about how we can access census tracts and block groups so that you can get even deeper data. So first thing to note here is this, again, the buckets are the same, but we're now going to have a number of different visualizations in here. There's a lot more on this page, as I mentioned, and there's a number of new kinds of visualizations. We have male, female visualizations. We have these different kinds of bar graphs here. And there's just a lot more you can dive into. And if you scroll over any of the visualizations, you'll see these hover pop-ups that show you the actual data for the point that you're clicking. So you know, again, as you scroll through here, it can help to actually just run your mouse over these to get a better idea of what you're actually looking at. So I mentioned that we can compare a year to another year. This also allows us, once we're in this county municipal report, we can actually compare two communities. So let's say we want to compare Albany County and let's try Saratoga County. What it does is there's a number of graphs now that will have two bars in it. So, and you'll have to just take a look at this. So it's green here is Albany, orange is Saratoga. Some of them don't work with the two counties, but for the most part, they will bring on two counties or two communities into the same visualization. All of the stat boxes, as I mentioned earlier, they now have the indicator and change over time for both of the comparative geographies. So we have Albany County and we have Saratoga County, and we're now seeing both, so we can compare side by side. Another thing to note here is that each and every visualization has the ability to download the data, right? So we have this. If we want to download data, we click on View Data, and over here, downloading unfiltered data will download the data exactly as it is on the map or on the visualization. So we click Download, and it'll download as a CSV, which you can open in Excel. Additionally, we have images that you can save as a PNG. Well, I had that working the other day. Let me just see if this is, let's see what happens here. Save image. All right, so anyways, we can download our images, and then there's the share embed, which allows you to take a visualization directly off of here and put it onto your website using an iframe. You may need to work with software developer to do this, but each and every visualization is available for that as well. So the other thing here is I mentioned earlier that there is a way to check out census tracts and block groups. One way to do that is through the mapping interface here, and additionally when I show you the other mapping interface as well. This will actually bring you right into a block group. So on this page, the map is set to block groups. And you can actually dig into a specific block group by just clicking here. And what we'll get here is the page now is resetting, and we are now looking at the block group that I selected. We're also still comparing it to Saratoga County. To clear that filter out, we can just hit this X over here. Now we're only looking at this one block group. And again, now you could download data for this single block group and start to utilize that in that way.
And Eric, I just wanted to interject just to point out, I think the user interface aspect of this. And, we thought a lot about how people would access neighborhood information or neighborhood data. And, the prospect of listing all the numeric names of the census tracts or block groups, nobody knows the name or the number of the block group that they live in, or the block group of the neighborhood that they want to research, but they'd be able to find it on a map. So our primary navigation to find census tract and block group information is through the map interface.
Also note, and thank you for that, Mark. Also note that if you do know the block group or census tract number that you're looking for, you can paste it into the URL. So it's intuitive if you know that much information about your census tracts and block groups, etc. It's not hard to just get right to it without having to click on the right one on the map. So if you paste in up here, it'll take you there. And if anyone who understands a little bit about census, these numbers are cumulative. So in a way, the longer the number, the deeper it is geographically. So if we go to Albany County here, you'll see it's 36001. And if I go to, let's try Albany City, we're now 36001 and now 000. And then as I clicked on that, a block group in New York City, or sorry, in Albany City, we're down to 5021 here. So it works pretty easily for folks who really want to navigate around fast and who know their block groups and census tracts.
And Eric, we have a question from Rachel. Is there a way to sort information by school district or school?
Oh, great question. We do not have that yet. That's part of our 2021 work plan, is to provide the geographies at the school district level. One of the issues that will come up that isn't too big a deal, but is somewhat complicated. We're including them in the drop downs. We're not quite sure if we're going to have the access directly from the lead pages in the menus. We're currently thinking that the best way to do that is on a given municipality or city, municipality or census tract or block group, to provide an intersection between the school districts that are associated with it. So when we get down to education, we would provide a list of the school districts that are associated with that, with whatever geography we're looking at, and then that geography, and then you would click to get into that school district, and it would look. I think the report would most likely look exactly as the one does that we're looking at right now. So it would load exactly as the rest of the reports look. So we're working on that right now. That should be available sometime mid-year. We'll make sure that folks who are interested in that are able to access that, and we can assist again with another presentation later this year. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to point out here is that we have the mapping interface. Right now, the mapping interface is the only way to select a census tract. Again, this is another thing that we're trying to work into the system. I was selecting block groups when I was on the Albany City page or the Albany County page. Here, if you are interested in selecting a census tract that you don't know the number for it, come in here, click on tracts. This will change the mapping to be by tract. And now you can zoom in and find the tract that you're looking for. Additionally, the visualization has the ability to reduce the opacity so that you can see the streets. So if you need a little bit more orientation in terms of that, you can reduce the opacity and increase it back again. So the same, it works the same here as it does on the report page. If you click on one of these census tracts, it'll now bring me over to that report that I was just at, but it'll be specific to the census tract I just selected. On this page, couple things to note here. The census labels over here are actually, these are the different indicators, and we're currently working to include a variety of indicators that are available through the Capital District Regional Planning, the CDRPC team that has, they currently make them available through their mapping interface, their census mapper. We're going to include all of those in here, and they will be in this format here, so nested this way into the same buckets that we have for the rest of the site. So you have economy, social welfare, health, education, housing, and transportation. And if you click on any one of these, we can now see the different indicators that are available for it. So if we want to see percent of population with no high school diploma or equivalent, we'll click that, and the map will reset to show that. Did that actually not? The map isn't fully resetting. So another fun bug. One other piece to note here is there's this nifty little thing that we did where because sometimes it's difficult to tell the difference between some of the these dark blue here, in terms of some of these can be very, very like higher, very much higher numbers. Oh, there it goes. It's resetting now. Great. Just took a minute. Can be much higher numbers than what the map indicates. So we've provided this nifty little 3D view here to show the difference in value. So for instance, this is 24%, but over here you're looking at 14%. So there is a pretty significant difference there within the dark blue. So if you're interested in viewing it from that to give yourself a little extra perspective, that toggle 3D is this little button over here, and you can just set that.
It's also important to note that sometimes the percentage data is not, the choropleth map that you're seeing here is not always appropriate for percentage-based data, because
Right.
it gives a false sense that there's more of something in a certain area when it's just a higher percent in that area, if that makes sense.
Right.
One question from John Eberly, who always has the spicy questions. He asks, how might these data and mapping tools be helpful for equitable redistricting efforts? So, I mean, I can take a look at that. These data, and the mapping tools sort of show, where different populations are. They show the population by block and census tract. Currently, we don't have any office districts mapped in the mapper. So we have no congressional districts, no state elected districts, no local districts. But certainly you can dive into the tool, you can dive into the neighborhoods and sort of figure out, the shape of the population that lives in that particular geography, whatever it may be. So it can be helpful in that regard. Another question from Rachel. Is there a way to nest CDBG required demographic data?
And is that in reference specifically to the LMI type data?
So I'm going to try to unmute Rachel if she's willing, so she can ask her question. If she has a microphone.
I just know that we all have to report if we get the CDBG block grants. They have like the required beneficiary reports. So we just need to be able to sort by race and income and 3 types of households: female-led, seniors, and those with a disability. Regardless of the work that we do, we have to be able to source it back to whether or not we're working with these families. We particularly at the Red Bookshelf are working with equitable access to children's books and reading promotion. But we do still have to be able to understand and report back to the ACDA and HUD. Does that help, or did I make it?
Yes, it does. And Rachel, would you email if you could that over to the indicators email or to Mark or directly? Just
I'll put the email in the chat box. This is the kind of thing that we want to hear about. If there's a specific need in your day-to-day that's not being addressed in this, and we can provide those things, that's what we want to hopefully do.
So I think most of what you mentioned is available, and I believe that, or it's available through Census and would be not too complicated for us to add. And then additionally, we are looking into the LMI, which is a much more complicated algorithm, and it's not available directly from CDBG as in the type of data that we need here. But we're, as part of 2021, we are looking at that's a low and moderate income calculation. That's something that we're looking at trying to bring into this tool. And I said CDBG, I meant HUD. HUD is the group that, or the agency that does the calculation for LMI. So, all right. So I'm just trying to think here. If I've missed anything, Mark, let me know. I think just again, taking a look at one of these pages here, just to show again what you can expect to find from the tool. So, we have median age, median, sex by age, median household income, poverty rate, vacant housing, population by race and ethnicity. And so if there's any shape that you want to see this data in, we can certainly try our best to make that available in the shape that you need in your work to download it easily and bring it into your workflow. Right now, I think you might, in order to do something that Rachel was just asking for, you'd have to grab it from a couple of different areas on the site and get yourself comfortable with that. But if it's possible for us to easily give a section here for downloading that data directly all in one spot, we'd be more than happy to try to figure that out. There's in the labor force, there's industry by median earnings. I highly recommend just digging in and jumping into the site on your own. We can move at your own pace, but we've got median household income, poverty status by sex and age. We have SNAP benefits. There's also health insurance coverage information from the ACS. There's school information about enrollment and graduation rates. And as I mentioned earlier, housing, vacant housing, there's a couple of interesting ones that have been asked for instance, percent of homeowners 65 and older. Those are aging in place folks, and that's an interest to a couple of different stakeholders as we were building the website. Again, if any indicators are important to you, please reach out to us and we can see about including them. And then some transportation statistics that were important to a number of stakeholders as well.
One user detail related to comparing geographies might be helpful to point out, and that's the difference between the hero stats and the visualization, and what the visualization is showing in terms of the visualization year versus the hero stat, which is it's a statistic based on the differences between the 2 years.
Right. Can you say that one more time, Mark?
So just if you open up a compare geography.
Mm-hmm.
So these are, the hero statistics are showing one set of data comparing 2016 to 2018, but the visualization, right, is showing the whole range of data from 2010 to 2018.
Right. Thank you.
And there's
right.
also
this is just summating. This is a summary of all of these years combined. So if you download this data, the shape of the means of transportation to work is going to have years 2010 through 2018, and it's going to have it broken out by method or travel mode. Thank you. And additionally, it'll include Greene County and Albany County in this download.
And one other thing you might want to point out is at the smaller geographies when data is not available.
Right, great point. So, and this is another thing that we're trying to fix in 2021, which we're working to maybe have to remove visualizations from lower level geographies. So some of the data in the ACS is just not available at the block group. We have right now a report that is pulling from, it's the same report, and it's pulling data based on, as I mentioned earlier, the municipality or the county municipality census tract and block group. But when the data is not available at the block group, some of the visualizations show up as saying data not available. Some of the visualizations just don't have anything showing for them, and so it's just something to note for now. Hopefully by the end of 2021, what we have a way where when you've clicked on a block group, the visualizations that just won't have data available for them are no longer on the report.
One other thing that's important to point out, the universe of data in the tool is limited to ACS data. We just have completed the 2020 decennial census, and so Eric and his team are working out strategies to incorporate the decennial census data into the tool. You want to talk a little bit about that, Eric?
Sure. So the shape of the decennial census is not the same as the shape of the ACS, but in 2021 we will be including a report that shifts the shape of the report from the ACS to the decennial census, so that you can compare 2010 and 2020. Right now, if you're accessing 2010 data in here, note that it's not the decennial census. It's something that came up in the last couple of months when someone, I think CDRPC, was trying to do some work within the, from data from the tool and looking back at what they had reported in 2010, but the difference was that the 2010 that they were using in their original report was decennial census, and the ACS 2010 is not going to give you the same answers. So that's just something to note. There will be soon enough, there will be some amount of tools for viewing and visualizing, downloading the 2010 and 2020 decennial census. We're going to do them as a package as soon as that 2020 census data is fully available to us. Also note that just for folks that don't have a lot of experience with ACS, these are the ACS 5-year estimates. So the 2018 data, if we're looking at 2018 data, it's an estimate that includes 2013 through 2018, but it's an estimate that's based on those 5 years. So it's best to compare things that are outside of that period of time. So we're comparing, the site is set to 2015 and 2013. So it would be comparing the ACS estimates of 2013, which includes 5 years prior, and 2018, which includes the 5 years prior. So when you're comparing overlapping years, it can have different margins of error, et cetera. So that's just, and CDRPC can assist you in understanding that more fully. It's a little bit complicated, but that's just something to keep in mind as you go through here.
So Rachel has a question about any plans that we may have to bring in state ed data down to the 3rd grade reading proficiency level. And she mentions being able to see the 3D visualization of reading proficiency but at the different geographies would be helpful. And I will say that, part of the plan this year is to render census data at the school district level. We have had preliminary conversations with organizations like BOCES about getting their assistance for accessing state ed data. So as we proceed through this next year, we're going to be taking a look at that, and we're going to be taking a look at incorporating some additional data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and other agencies into the tool. It's going to be really driven by resources that we have to devote to the project. And so that bringing in the state ed data is, I think, a longer term goal that we have in the project at this point.
Great. And are there any other questions or comments? Anything else that Mark, you can think that would be of interest to share at this point? I should also mention, if anyone has any resources within their organization, if they share data or reports and they'd like them to provide a link out from this site to their report, please just provide that to us and some language. We're happy to bring that directly in here and provide a link out. So we're putting in these links as things that we know we're not going to cover exactly what the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services has in their data, but we're providing the link out to it. So if you didn't know that this existed, this is something that is available to you within the tool to click the link out to it and go find that data for your own work.
So yeah, I mean, we want this to be a hub for accessing data. So while the data that we show here and visualize is ACS data, there are a variety of links to other data sources, as Eric mentioned, where you can, take a deeper dive. So if you're looking for some data, you're not quite sure where to look, this is a great website to check out first, not only for the ACS data, but also all the related link outs. And also CDRPC is available to help you out if you have specific questions or research topics, or just need a little help in doing some data analysis or otherwise. We're here to help in that regard. So you can always email us, cdrpc@cdrpc.org, or just go to our website and find our contact information, and we will be able to assist you in that way. So if anybody has any questions, now is the time, or forever hold your peace. Is Schoharie County included? Schoharie County is not included in this visualization. We chose two geographies, the Central 4 County Capital Region area, and then the Regional Economic Development Council region, which we named Greater Capital Region. Schoharie always seems to get left out, Nick. I apologize. Question from Katie. Would there be a plan to expand this to other regions in New York State? Eric, do you want to talk about that a little bit? I mean, there are no specific plans, but the scalability of the tool is pretty powerful.
Yeah, right. The real question right now is which partners to find in those areas, and try to figure out, if there's a desire for it in other areas. We can always talk about that. There are some specifications that are absolutely specific to the capital region, right? That we would have to work with and work around getting it specific to a different region within the software. But yes, it's mostly scalable. It wouldn't be that complicated to do, and we're interested if that's something that of, if there's other regions in New York State that would like access to something like this. Please let us know. We're happy to discuss that with folks from those regions.
Question from Cheryl. ACS provides data on refugees/immigrants and English as a second language people. Are these topics available through this tool?
We have, do we have English as a second language in here already?
We have, I believe we have language spoken at home.
Right. Is that in education? Oh, it's in social welfare, language spoken at home. Yeah, hey, that's something that we can certainly add here. We just need to dig through and find the right set of variables. And if you have any suggestions about what's most interesting to you, what the shape of it would be that you're most interested in, that can assist us in getting it up here quickly. When I say the shape of it, it's like how is it best organized, and do you already organize the data in your own work in any way? If you can share a visualization, we can probably pretty quickly incorporate something for those variables into this set of tools.
Yeah, if you want to send that to the indicators email, I'm just going to paste it into the chat box again. We can look at incorporating that stuff into the tool. Other question from Cheryl. Albany County and region. Oh, I'm sorry. Cheryl was just confirming that she's going to send us an email. So apologize. Any other questions from folks? All right. As a reminder, all attendees will receive an email with the recording, and the recording is available on CDRPC's YouTube channel. Oh, I'm sorry. Rachel has another question. Is there a way to put the language spoken at home on the map?
Yep, absolutely. The question of it is it will probably require us to implement there's another type of visualization that we're working at doing right now, which is dot density map, which it may require. It's a little bit more complicated. if, you know, it's some of these ACS variables can be quite complicated when it comes to mapping. So there are a couple different ways that we could do it where you select by language, and then you're only seeing that language and where it's spoken throughout the region. Or if you wanted to see all languages, we'd need to see something that has different colors and like so the dot density map is something that we've been talking about bringing into the mapping tools for specifically more complicated variables. But we're happy to take a look, as I said, at the language spoken at home and the variety of different, variables that folks mentioned here and see how we can bring them into that other section, the mapping section.
Great. Well, thank you all for your interest, and always feel free to reach out about this project or otherwise to CDRPC. We look forward to continuing to improve this tool and are always open to any suggestions for including the data that you would find useful in your day-to-day work. So feel free to reach out, indicators@cdrpc.org, and we'll hopefully be able to incorporate that stuff for you. All right. Well, thank you for your attention this afternoon, and have a great rest of your week. Take care.